Great. I'm Tommy Weir, the founder and CEO of Enaible, and I'm excited to share with you what we're up to. We're solving the largest problem that enterprise companies are facing today. Pre-COVID-19, productivity was flat for companies, and employees were working more hours than they ever had in modern history. And COVID-19 has actually exacerbated this problem. With the change of the world that's facing and the nature of the remote work, companies are sitting today saying they need to grow their productivity. They want visibility on how employees are working, not so that they can monitor them with a heavy hand, but so they can turn those hours worked into productive hours, and so that they can actually help employees no matter where they're working. With this in mind, the first part of that, not the second part, we actually built Enaible, which is an AI-powered productivity. We take the data that company has already in their ERP systems, their CRMs, their communication systems. We take the timestamp tables out of that, and we wrote an algorithm that figures out what changes each employee needs to do to become as productive as possible. The central feature of Enaible is a job and industry agnostic productivity score, so that companies can compare their productivity between employees and then make recommendations to help those employees get better. Inside the product, there's the productivity score. We added in a remote working score following COVID-19. In addition to that, there's targets that are set by the companies, time budget, and a work optimizer. And then most specifically, the feature that really drives this and brings it home to the change on the bottom line is a leadership recommender, which makes recommendations that are targeted and prioritized for each employee to help them become the best they can. In addition to what's gone on during COVID-19, we were very honored to be named a Gartner Cool Vendor in the HCM space for the work that we're doing. And the pricing model is we charge $144,000 for an initial deployment. And then from there, on our land and expand model, we charge $144 annually per employee as we roll out. We currently have $100,000 of ARR in 3 customers. We have $130,000 ARR in 3 customers. By the end of this year, we'll have 2.75 million ACV, as we have fantastic traction. In the last 8 weeks, we've added $1.8 million to our pipeline, including the likes of Delta, CVS, Marriott, Medtronic, McDermott, Philip Morris, LL Bean just recently came in as well. Our team, we've built a fantastic team of rock stars. Our data scientists both come from the theoretical side. Mustafa specifically published his master's thesis with a Nobel laureate. Jeet Shangari, our CTO, came to us from AWS, where he led the Salesforce account there. And Joe's got 10 years startup sales experience in the SaaS area, and he's quite aggressive and hungry. We're raising $2 million. And the $2 million, the predominant reason for this right now is to realize the opportunity in the market today. And if you're looking for an opportunity to have an economic impact, a societal impact, and a corporate impact, Enaible is a great investment for you. And the time to invest is right now, because the attention of the C-suites and the board of directors is in our area right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tommy. And now any questions?
Hi, this is Catherine. Can you please elaborate on how do you calculate the productivity score that you're giving?
Yeah, so the algorithm is called the trigger task time. And what it does is it separates what's the work on the process line that could be causing complication from the task from the individual. And then we wrote a custom loss function that is able to determine the fastest sustainable time that every trigger task combination should be going at. And our productivity score is comprised of capacity utilization, answering how will you use the hours in a day, consistency, how likely are you to work as you have before, and quality impact, which is answering are others more or less productive as a result of your work.
Walk me through the mechanics of how does it work?
Sorry?
The mechanics of it. I get all the high-level strategic verbiage. I just don't know how it's going to affect me as an employer or employee. What changes in my behavior as an employee or employer to measure this magical number?
Fantastic. I'll use a couple of real-life case examples in this. So one of our customers, when we started with them, they had a 263% variation on how long it took to do like-for-like work. And that was not between employees, that was in an employee. and they've reduced that from 263% variation down to 95% so far. So the recommendations would come in and say, when you're writing code line of X, when you're selling to this type of customer, when you're serving this customer, and then it starts to make recommendations to you of what you can do to be better at that.
Are you watching me? Are you tracking me? Are you doing something to me as an individual?
I wish we were tracking you, okay? We're actually pulling data that companies already have inside their inside the systems that you use. So we pull the data from the systems that employees interact with every day. We pull the basically we're after the table with timestamps.
So this seems like an automated management consulting service, sort of a cheaper version of what you would pay consultants to do. I think I get it. So you have, I like your enterprise approach. Looks like you'd be ripe for acquisition pretty quickly too.
We're gonna IPO.
Okay.
I would like to ask a question.
For that, but we're going for it. Sorry,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'd like to ask a question, please. Yeah, I'm very deep into this productivity thing. I looked at about 50 companies, I believe, it last 2 months. Yeah, because we are investing in area. And I know that there is 3 parameters that we're usually looking for: productiveness, effectiveness, and quality.
Correct.
I didn't heard about 2 of others from you.
So we focus on human productivity. We don't get into the process side. The effectiveness tends to go more into the process side. So we would be looking at, are you doing the work that you should be doing, and are you doing it in the best way that you possibly can? And we look at the quality impact of that on others.
Okay, thank you.
So Ben, you mentioned about management consulting. So currently there's $165 billion per year spent on productivity, and the management consulting is one of the key areas we're going directly after.
Can you give an example of, what advice, your platform will give to a specific employee based on the information that it gets? Like what kind of, any example, but like something concrete.
Yeah, so one of the areas we look at is what's called the ramp to productivity. So how long does it take from the beginning of a day till people hit their productivity peak? And we find that that's somewhere between 2 hours and 2 hours and 15 minutes. So then we make recommendations back to the managers to move their meetings that they have in that time period out so that they could come in and get the day started with more energy early in the day. Another example would be when you're processing a claim with this level of complexity in it, when this employee is, his quality drops. So therefore, learn from Mike, who's doing a better job, what he's doing to help this employee so it would get to that kind of level. And then there's a task allocator that's built in that looks at skill and scarcity of who should be working on what based upon their own abilities, and then it makes recommendations to realign the work. I can go into a lot more detail, but I know that I'm being nudged to keep short.
So you're looking. This is Terry. You're looking at the email, correct?
So we look at the ERP systems, so the timestamps there. So basically Oracle, SAP. We look at Salesforce. We look at the metadata on email. We look at calendar entries, and then we also look at Zoom, Slack, and then we would look at other management systems that companies have in regard to.
Are you going through the email to try to do any analysis of the email, the corporate email? Today
we don't, but that's in our product development plan.
Yeah, you might want to check. I co-founded Eva. If you know Eva.ai, I'm the co-founder. And so I know a little bit about it. So I've been through this journey and have had those pivots. So if you need any guidance, let me know. But you're on track. It's not easy, but you seem to be on track.